Hello, it's Mark Lenny with your video thought for the day. I got my lawsuit on today, and one of the most challenging parts of any case that I try, that I really enjoy the challenge of, is trying to take an area that most of the jurors don't know anything about and explain it in such a way that it can be understood. I've had trials with a non-medical jury, a non-scientific jury, where I needed to explain the process of certain drugs on certain enzymes within the body and how those enzymes react to either produce clotting in the blood or to inhibit clotting in the blood. Some enzymes are clot busters and some enzymes are clot makers. And to explain that process, I've had to explain how asbestos can migrate from your inhaling lungs into internal organs, like a woman's ovaries, for example, in one of the cases that I tried. And I love this because you're always trying to find some type of a metaphor or some type of an anchor that the jury already knows, so that you can tie to that and make sense out of something that they don't know. And that's a great way to help people understand, is to tie something to knowledge they already have. Now, the reason I bring this up to you is because today I'd like to think about a passage with you that's found in the Gospel of John, chapter 12, and it's in verses 44 and 45. It's got Jesus, and Jesus cries out to the people, and he says, "Whoever believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And whoever sees me sees him who sent me." Now, I want to think about this for a moment, because it's a fantastic example of God doing the very thing that I try to do in trial, using a metaphor or using something that you already know to explain something you don't. You see, a lot of people want to know who God is. And we can read our Hebrew Bible, our Old Testament, as we call it, and we can see different images of God. We can see God in his love and mercy, and that can be a comforting thing, but we can also see God in his judgment, in his things that at first glance, if you don't really dig into them, might lead someone to think that God is a mean fella, or a fella that you can't trust or wouldn't want to be around, that he seems at times harsh or arbitrary or angry or possessive or even spiteful, and some might say petty. And if you read the Old Testament and you just read those passages and you don't read them within a context of a larger framework, you could walk away with that. But what I like about God is God wasn't satisfied with people seeing him simply through those small vignettes so readily misunderstood. God revealed himself to us in a way that we could relate. God did that by becoming human himself in Jesus. And so in Jesus, we have a relatable, anchor, understandable way of fathoming the character of God. So in Jesus the merciful, we see a God of mercy. In Jesus the kind, we see a God of kindness. In the patience of Jesus, we see the patience of God. In Jesus' joy, we see the happiness and the rejoicing of God. We get a greater understanding and glimpse of who God is when we look at Jesus, the incarnate God. And so God no longer is someone hard for us to understand. We're no longer having to guess at his motives. We don't have to guess about his cares or concerns. We see what they are. We see them in Jesus. So I see in Jesus God's love for the unloved. I see in him his help for the needy, his mercy for those in need of mercy, his comfort for those who are hurting. I see in Jesus his instruction for the aimless. I see in him his opposition to the proud. I can tell you about God by telling you about Jesus. Knowing Jesus is knowing God. And that changes everything. That's your video thought for the day.